a very special last APIsecU webinar of the year. We're going to have a bit of fun here. So the topic of today is recent API breaches. And as usual, Christine went to town with some awesome graphics, zombies, and all kinds of fun stuff. I think she's still in Halloween mode here. But we're going to cover that. But we got a lot of other stuff to talk about too. We got new tools to share with you. We're giving away CASA vouchers, which we've never done before. Like anyone can get one. And of course, we're going to announce the winner of the ASPE, the API Security Person of the Year. So make sure to stick around for this one. As always, it's recorded and all that good stuff. Randall, how are you, man? Super cool. So let's dive right in here, Jesse. So you're gonna be my wingman, my color commentator. You haven't even seen these breaches, so curious your reactions, what you sort of read between the lines. Some of them are a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
So for all of you that are on joining us, share your feedback because I actually don't know on all of these, like what's going on in these things, right? So
yeah, sure. Happy to offer some insights.
let's rock and roll then, because we got a lot to go through. All right. First one is from Discord. Okay. This one's sort of ongoing, and it's very much like a he said, she said situation. So it's hard to tell what's really going on. The attackers are saying one thing, Discord is saying something else. And what's interesting is like these journalists that are covering it, they're like, oh yeah, we talked to the attackers, and this is what they tell us. So then we talked to Discord. All right. Here's what happened. Discord uses Zendesk, and they must have some sort of like outsourced third-party support partner, something or other. I guess they exploited this Zendesk instance, and it looks like some flavor of like social engineering or something. Like they at this third party, they somehow got access to a compromised account, accessed 5.5 million records. Stolen info included names, usernames, emails, contact. I mean, it just went on and on. Full credit cards, CCV passwords, and auth data. And in typical, like you see this a lot, right? This was not a breach of Discord, but rather a third-party service. We see this a lot with API breaches. The people are like, oh, it wasn't a breach. It was just some, mistake or, an exploit or I don't know what. But nevertheless, somehow, right, this third party, they're called 5CA, got compromised, right? And it resulted in this, at the very least, 70,000 government IDs with photos. Some say it was much, much more. So why is this showing up here in an API thing? So I'm just trying to read between the lines here, and I'm curious what everyone else thinks, Jesse. But like, you don't exfiltrate 5 million records like piecemeal, right? There must have been some kind of automated action going on here. Like to me, when I read between the lines, it sounds like somebody got hacked, right? Social engineered, whatever it was. And this attacker got access to their account and then probably brute forced the hell out of it with some sort of API call. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly what happened. Like the Zendesk support agent, it's a third-party agent. They have their details compromised. And at that point, they kind of have free use of the internal APIs, if you will, whether that's through the UI or not, right? So if it's an intelligent threat actor, odds are they already know how those APIs work. And it just goes to show that internal controls can be helpful, right? Like if you had a rate limiting thing going on here, right? Like maybe not. If it was over 58 hours, that's, 1 million records every hour. I feel like maybe some sort of system should have detected that 1 million records an hour were getting pulled.
Yeah.
So some sort of API constraints there probably could have helped from that standpoint. Yeah, I think so.
Well, and Roger hit that as well, the rate limiting. And it goes back to this thing. We get asked a lot, like, hey, can I just focus on the external APIs and not worry about my internal ones? And here you go, right? Here's an internal API that clearly became external through a phishing or social engineering. And they didn't have those same protections on the internal ones, clearly, right? Like,
Yeah.
no support person's going to touch 5 million records. They'd be the most productive support person on the planet, right? So, anyway, that's Discord. Let's keep going. Next one is from OpenAI. So Again, a little murky on the details here, but OpenAI had a partnership with Mixpanel. And this is actually just not even a month ago that this happened, right? And so if you were an OpenAI API user, okay, so this only affected API users of OpenAI. There was some sort of successful smishing attack. I had to look up what smishing is. I guess it's an SMS based phishing.
Mm.
Um, got access to systems, exported customer data, analytics data. OpenAI was very clear to say no chat, no API requests, no API usage data, passwords, or anything, or government IDs were compromised or exposed. I thought that was funny
Oddly
that they said
specific.
no government IDs. It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, at least we're not WhatsApp. That was sort of a random thing to throw in there, but yeah, so that's interesting, right? So I don't know what Mixpanel does, but apparently they don't work with OpenAPI or OpenAI anymore as a result of this.
Right.
So that's that one. Let's keep going. I got one sort of more in-depth one that I want to share with you all. So that's why I'm kind of skimming through this. All right. So this is WhatsApp. All right. So you see the wired thing over on the right, and I'm just looking here. Oh, did you get Fury? You got one. I heard that if you were an API user, they were sending messages out. So I'm kind of curious what they sent you. From Venkata, is the previous attack part of a ransomware attack? As it was mentioned, demand huge amount, files were encrypted. I think that in what I've read is they demanded 5 million. They discounted that to $3.5 million. And then the threat was they were going to publish it all. So that does sound like ransomware to me. Not ransomware in the sense of like they dropped some piece of encryption code. They just stole all this data and now they're ransoming it. So not ransomware, but just good old fashioned ransom. All right, WhatsApp. So this one's not really all that sophisticated, right? So I'm sure most of us are WhatsApp users, right? How do you find someone on WhatsApp, Jesse?
Type in their phone number.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you do. That's all it takes, right? And guess what? Phone numbers are not very random. They're not even that long, right?
Right.
And they're pretty much incremental, right? They're just digits, right? So it just looks like a great big long integer at the end of the day. So that second image on the right, this is there's a very scientific looking PDF. Some researchers in Austria, and they were like, hey, it doesn't look like there's any rate limiting here. So let's try it out. And so they they started on US phone numbers, and in half an hour, we had like 30 million US based WhatsApp accounts. And in 50% of those, they were able to capture profile photos. 29% of those included profile text, that little message like, hey, hit me up, or I'm busy, or
Mhm.
whatever, right? So they kept going, right? And they ended up harvesting 3.5 billion records through this API, right? So they notified Meta, right? And some months later, they fixed the enumeration with stricter rate limiting, right? And Meta, of course, downplayed it all, said, "Oh, it's all public info, so who cares, right?" But I think the takeaway here from the researchers is that last quote on the left, right? No one would ever design a system where a phone number would be your unique identifier. It's just like a legacy thing, right? We
Yeah.
all used to have phones that hang on the wall with 7-digit numbers and now 10-digit and maybe more.
Yeah.
But now that's your unique identifier.
I love, Oswema, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, his comment, right? Like, so now I can just find out famous people's phone numbers is effectively what I can do here. Just go through the list, and I'm sure there's a handful of A-list celebrities with a WhatsApp phone number with their name
Oh,
attached to it.
absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And there's also one of the other things, if you read the full report, they also were able to look at, I guess it would be like public encryption keys, right?
Mhm.
And they found that there was boatloads of identical keys out there. Some keys were used hundreds of times, which just doesn't seem like a really smart thing. There were keys that were all zeros, which I think they associated with like scammer accounts or something like that. But at any rate, like it's kind of like, here in the States, we've got social security numbers, right?
Mhm.
When I was a kid, my driver's license number was my social security number, right? It was literally printed on my driver's license, right? And you know
Wild.
what? That sounds ridiculous now, but the social security number was never meant to be this super guarded, highly protected. My
Yeah,
first job, my healthcare card had my healthcare ID was my social. And so we sort of inherit these old identifiers and then
so true.
drop all this security sensitivity on top of it, but they're still just basic identifiers.
Yeah, so true. And this is, just like Zendesk, right? Like, if they just had rate limiting in place here, some sort of detection, they could have prevented a lot of this. And it's what's funny to me too, as somebody who, like, helps organizations attach automated tooling, is I'll come across instances like this where we'll find a missing rate limit header on an internal user endpoint, and the security person will be like, "Eh, whatever, I don't care." Right? Like, people can pull users if they want, it's no big deal. And then you see something like this and you're like, "Maybe it's a bigger deal than you think."
Yeah. George, yeah, I think, yeah, your college ID number was Social Security. Yeah. There's no
Crazy.
reason Social Security numbers should be protected except that we use them in ways they were never meant to be used. All right, that's that one. Let's go through this is our more in-depth one. Let's see from Wolfram. Only losers use PII. It's like, only losers do. Jesse,
Yeah, man.
you're not a
Clearly.
loser, are you?
Never. Not a day in my
No.
life, except for the occasional Tuesday.
Rakesh, is anyone in this room from the UK? I bet there are. What are we at? 280 people, so I bet there are some. All right, let's go through Intel. Teresa, how are you? SB winner of the year 2024. So let's go through Intel. So this is from Eaton Sviare, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Tremendous piece of work right here. So this is a bit in depth, and so let me walk you through it. So basically, he was poking around in Intel, right? And Intel's got gajillions of different websites, and he found this one, Intel India Operations, right? And through this page, right, he's not an Intel employee. He was able to get access to every single Intel employee's information through these APIs. Okay. Here's how it went down. So, first thing is when you go to this login page, it detects if you're a logged in user or not through this JavaScript, right? And the thing, this is pretty eye opening, right? So this is what the how he found the JavaScript, right? And so he looked at it, and I guess there's a trick, right? You can often trick an app into thinking you're logged in by modifying this get all accounts function and making it return a non-empty value, right? So he just put return one, right? That's all he did, right? Manipulate this request, and suddenly he was logged in, right? Didn't have any ID or anything, but it just treated him as a logged in user.
Oh,
Okay. So now he can access stuff like this. So there's this portal where you can search any employee. Okay. So you can just type in whatever you want and search for an employee. It turns out that if you look at the network traffic, there's an API being used to return this information. And the auth token is right there in the traffic. Okay. So he's not logged in. He's accessing an authenticated page as an unlogged in user and can access this auth token in the network traffic. Right. So this is an authenticated API, but the token is right there for everyone to access. Okay. And it looks like it was giving them access to all these different roles and databases and so forth. And so he started looking at this worker API and noticed that it returned like a gigantic amount of information about any user, not just the stuff that was showing up in the screens, right? But this incredible long laundry list of details, right? And so he noticed that the URL had this filter baked into it slash worker snapshot details, right? So just like high level stuff, right? And he was wondering if I got rid of that filter, what he would get. But it kept crashing. It says could not get response, right? So he tried it in Postman instead. And what he got back was an almost 1 gigabyte JSON file with every single Intel employee, the CEO on down, not just India, the entire world, name, role, phone number, mailbox address, all of this, all straight from, one little, clever
crazy.
hack of returning a non-empty string at the beginning.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Like if we were to look at like OWASP, what are we tripping here in terms of OWASP?
Oh, man.
What does the audience think here? I mean, that
That's
first
what I
thing is
want is I wanna see what everyone else thinks before I weigh in.
Basically, no auth validation. That's a good one, AppSec. Yeah, yeah. Um, Wolfram, I won't share that, but Bola, absolutely, right? Excess data exposure, right? OWASP, what is that for? Yeah, a
Yeah,
bit
it's
of
a
everything, honestly.
combination. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is a combination.
But it just goes to show, like, all these, and yet again, internal API, right? This is, I'm gonna have to start using this. I'm gonna re-record the fundamentals course as I do every January now. This one might make it in as my internal APIs aren't as internal as you think.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, all right, so that's it. Those are the recent breaches I wanted to go through, and I intentionally kind of jammed through that relatively quickly. So I mentioned that we're gonna share some tools, right? So I want to shift gears for just a sec. So you guys probably heard me talk about this Bolt thing, and I'm kind of sad, honestly, because how do I get this off the screen? I wanted to be able to let you have access to it in the Chrome store, but they're still going through their review process. I thought it would be up by now, but it is not. But I can
Ooh.
still show it to you. And of course, we are going to. Oh, Steve, you're too kind. Steve, you're going to see the new version here. So let me share my screen. I'm just going to give you a quick live demo. This is the version that's going into the Chrome store. It's a bit different than what you've seen before, folks, but same sort of concept. So I always like to go to. I'm not picking on EasyJet. I think they're an awesome company. I just like their website, and they've got a lot of interactivity, a lot of meaty stuff. So is that showing up? Yeah, looks like it is. So I'm going to launch Bolt, right? And what's cool about Bolt, it's just a browser extension, right? So you don't need to install anything. You don't have to set up proxies, route traffic, configure anything. It's literally just plug it in, right? Totally private. It's not doing anything server side. It's all local. You can set optionally a base URL. I like to do that. But if there's any traffic you're interested in that would not match easyjet.com, then you would want to turn that off. So this is EasyJet. I'm launching Bolt. I'm going to set the base URL, which is optional. You don't have to do that. If you want to see everything on your computer, go ahead. But I'm just going to refresh the homepage. And like we know that, like for you pen testers out there, red teamers, like we hear it all the time, right? I've been asked to test this app, this website, and they've given me nothing, right? They're just giving me a URL and that's it. No specs, no docs, no nothing, right? This thing is, and for those of you who tried the beta, this one's much tighter, much stronger. It's better at finding real API calls and getting rid of noise. Let's just say I want to go from Reykjavik to Birmingham, and let's say I want to go on Saturday, right? And so you can see all this traffic generating these API calls, and you can come in here and take a look at any one of these things and see what the parameters look like. Super slick. And you can actually come and take a look at all the parameters that we've generated. There's over 140 different parameters, which is an awful lot. How do you make sense of that? I can filter down to the query parameters or body parameters or things like that. And we have this hide noise thing. So that was 97, right? Turned into 18. So to me, that's a cool feature to just help you as a pen tester focus in on the stuff that you care most about.
As a beginner and a learner too, Dan, it's also useful because when you're first starting out with things like bug bounty, it can be really challenging to understand which parameters are actually valuable to you. There's like a whole bunch of junk parameters. And if you're new, your first instinct is, hey, let me just manipulate these and see what happens. And
Yeah.
90% of the time, that's a waste of your time.
Amen, right? So, we're trying to help you solve the first mile problem, right? Which is just like, where do I start, right? We know a lot of pen testers are spending the first day, they get 5 days to hack on something, and one day is dedicated to reverse engineering the app. So, hopefully, this will help you there. I clicked on that OAS button that you see up here, and literally it generated that. Hopefully that's coming through for you guys. It generates its own API spec, right? So even if you don't have anything to start with, you're now off and running. There's this super slick analyze button. Now, full disclosure, when you hit analyze, it will share that the JSON file with AppSec server so that we can munge it, look for different services, tell you more about it. But that's entirely up to you. It's giving you access to more and more capabilities. So you can actually see This API is comprised of, I don't know, 7 or 8 different services.
Can I talk a little bit, Dan, on what the
Yeah.
future of that connection to AppSec will look like?
Yeah, please.
Because it's we have really exciting innovations in the pipeline for things, and a future state that we're really keen on trying to get to is not like Dan said, like you click that analyze button, it sends your OAS over to AppSec, and then we provide insights to you, right? Like threat model the application for you. Hey, here's the flows, right? Like you have to create this resource before you can use it in these different areas, and here's how you delete it, and these are the functions that can manipulate it, right? And we want to like hand all of that info to you kind of on a silver platter to really like jumpstart your understanding of the application you're testing. So if you start playing with Bolt now, if that's something that's interesting to you.
Yeah, and Wolfram, will it help you find vulnerabilities? It will, right? And that's, of course, when people ask you, why is AppSecU all free and everything we do is free? There is another business, for those of you who don't know, AppSec.ai. That's what makes AppSecU possible, right? It is the business side of what we do, and what AppSec AI is all about. Since I'm talking about it, it is our site where we have this API testing platform, right? And what's cool with this Bolt thing is I can actually hit this onboard button and connect it right into my AppSec platform, right? Where it will do all kinds of heavy duty AI generated API testing and attack simulation and run continuously in your CI/CD and all of that kind of stuff, right? So if this all sounds interesting to you, please reach out. We'd love to get you access, give you a tour. But that's Bolt. All right, folks. I'm so sad that it's not in Chrome right now. If there are people here who are like dying to get their hands on it, reach out. We'll find a way to get it in your hands. But hopefully within a day or so, we should be able to point you to the Chrome store where you can go ask for it.
That's a good question. I don't actually know if we're storing the data when we analyze it.
No, we do not. It's your private data. We don't store it. We do analyze it, but it's your data and we don't keep it.
Cool.
Right? If you do the onboarding, of course, now you have to have an account in AppSec, which you can also get for free. And then you basically are registering that app in our platform. So that's that.
Yeah.
Let me stop because
Christine, if you could share that link one more time for everyone, and then it'll be available in the Chrome store really soon, guys.
indeed, let's come back to the
Thank
presentation
you.
because we got something super cool to show you. Where the hell is that? Is it this? Bring to screen.
Oh,
All
it's my
right.
turn.
Yeah, it's your turn, my friend. Just take it away. You could probably advance slides, but if not, I'll advance for you.
Yeah, no, I think I got it. All right, everybody. So I'm going to talk about MCPs a little bit today and a new tool that AppSec has released that you can use today. And it's centered around MCP compliance. And I'll get into kind of what that means in the future in just a little bit here. Before we get started, though, just a little warning. What you're about to see is extremely cool. If you can't believe how cool it is and you want to get your hands on it, stick around until the end and I'll tell you exactly how to do that. Yes, you will get it. I will make it nice and easy for you. Whether you mean, will I understand or can I use it? The answer is yes. Okay, so what is MCP compliance? Or here's our agenda. First, talking about what MCP compliance means, right? And what problems we're solving. We're going to talk about what MCP compliance views for teams means. And MCP Discovery and Audit is the name of our tool. So we'll talk about how we're solving those problems. And then I'll show you a demo to actually kind of get into how these things work. All right, moving along. First of all, I want to talk about what we're hearing from people, both from customers that I talk to and from people at the university through DMs and just chatter and voice chat and stuff. From our customers, what we're mainly hearing is we don't know how to tell what our MCPs, what teams are you doing with MCPs, right? We can't tell which ones they're using. We can't tell why they're using them. We can't tell if they're configured correctly. None of this makes sense to us, and we don't even know where to start looking. Hearing all sorts of that. And then from the university, I'm hearing things like people are just kind of running with MCPs, man. Like dev teams are realizing that MCPs can speed them up and speed is king for a lot of people. So they're just kind of adopting, right? And that creates a kind of tough situation between security and deployment and development. So the goal here is just making MCP compliance easier for everyone, right? We want security teams to have visibility into the tools. We want IT admins to be able to audit machines for unauthorized stuff. We need engineering managers to be able to understand what their teams are capable of doing. And we need individual devs to be responsible and not set things up that are risky. All right. So how do we do that? And how does our tool help with that? Wait, did I just skip a slide? I did. No, I didn't. We're good. Demo time. All right. So first, I just want to say these are real, legitimate MCP server references. They're all an actual open source project from Anthropic and the MCP community, typical of what we're seeing a lot of real teams using today. It's a live demo, live repo. You can use this tool for yourself. Local usage is available, so you can use the tool to scan locally. We can talk more about that later if that's something that's interesting to any of you. And also, it's extremely awesome. Before I just show it to you, though, let's talk about what the tool does. All right. First is it's going to authenticate to GitHub. Then it's going to read your repo. It's going to look for any clues indicating MCP usage, and then it's going to assess those clues and determine whether there's any risk present effectively, right? And so how do we do that securely? Well, by keeping all of the data in its own lane effectively, right? If I could just kind of dive into a little bit further, first step one, we authenticate directly to GitHub using a token that you're going to generate, right? You have fine-tuned granular access there. And this will expand to future things beyond GitHub. But for now, we're just going to talk GitHub. The token never goes to, it stays on your machine in your browser session, okay? Once you're authenticated, the tool scans your GitHub repo looking for configuration files. And those are typically called mcp.json, or they're stored in a .mcp folder. And this tool reads those directly from the GitHub API. And again, this communication is happening between your browser and GitHub. It's not going through any APIsec servers, all right? The scan results are processed and displayed in your browser. Nothing gets sent back to us, no repository names, no file contents, none of that. It's all staying local. Huge emphasis on privacy here. Okay, so let's see it in action. I'm going to have to pivot.
Let me jump in while you're switching.
Yeah, thanks.
From Fuad, how much AI knowledge should one have to be able to test MCPs for vulnerabilities? That is a great question. And the reality is most people don't have that level of sophistication. I don't. It's really why we're building technologies with capabilities, tools like this. And I love this tool because we've been doing these MCP workshops for about 2 weeks now. And the number one question that we get is, how do I know what MCPs are in use in my organization? That's the first question. Second question is, how do I know if those are good MCPs? Are they properly configured? We're not even getting to how do we test and all that. And of course, in the tools we build, we'll do all of that. But Jesse, take it away. Show us how this thing actually works.
Okay, it's super simple, super powerful. So I gotta grab my token really quick, actually. There it is. Okay, so we're gonna come in here, we're gonna paste our token. This token is scoped to public asset access for the GitHub account that I set it up with. So it can see all of my public repositories right now, right? This is my personal org here. And we're just gonna click scan repos. And it's gonna do its thing, right? You can see it's finding MCPs, it's looking for this MCP extension, MCP servers, right? And then it's going to pop you out something like this, right? So by scanning this repo, here's the important things at the top, right? We know that there are at least 14 in this repo being used. We know where 7 of them come from. We know what they are. They're official, right? 7 of them, we have no clue, right? They could have been built by the developer themselves. We've got 10 risk flags and 2 critical risks. So let's kind of dive into what that looks like a little bit here. You can see the critical risk is shell access, right? So that means this shell executor MCP is actually able to execute shell commands, right? That's very, very dangerous if it's not configured properly. Got some high risk here, file system access that could be potentially read or write. And so what do you, as a security person, what am I supposed to gather from this? Well, is this scoped properly? Is the file system scoped properly so that they're not reading and writing and paths that they're not supposed to be able to? Is shell access really something that you want your tools using? These are decisions that organizations and security teams need to make. You need to have a standard operating procedure, right, that your devs can fall back on and say, I'm allowed to use MCP in this way. I'm not allowed to use MCP in that way. And this is meant to be a tool to help you get insight into those things and start those conversations at your organization, right? So I'm going to bring my slides back up real quick here, or actually I'll just leave this here and give people a second to ask questions if there's any.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure people know that we updated the little banner at the top. If you want to try it out, you can try it out right now. It's free. You don't have to register. It's private. It runs local. Jesse, there's even a CLI version, right?
I believe so. Yeah. It's all in the, yeah, you can, there's documentation and stuff, but yeah. Well, sorry, there was another question I want. How this tool flags 10 risk, which database does it verify? So it's proprietary right now, right? We are, looking at verified, the verified source thing is a great example, right? Like you can see that we actually have source tags for some of them that we're able to go and do research on and get confirmation that these are coming from real sources. Whereas when the source is just like a dash Y, like that could be anybody. Who knows who made that, right? Like, yeah, it says Slack, but is it the actual Slack MCP, or did your developer build a Slack MCP before the official one released and just never bothered to switch?
Well,
Those are the
and
questions that you got to ask.
And Rodney, this is version 1.0, and we developed that super fast. Frankly, we were listening to all these workshops that we've been doing and the questions people have been asking, and we wanted to bring a tool out. So I think that's a killer use case for unknown MCPs. Say the company
Yeah.
made 3 of them and trust them. Is there a way to mark them as trusted? I don't think in the version that's out right now, but that's a hell of a cool feature.
That's great feedback, and that's a outstanding segue into my next slide, which is how do you get hands-on and what do we need from you, right? So we're giving you the link right now. You can put your hands on it. What we need from you guys is feedback, just like Rodney gave us. What does it have that you love? What's broken or missing, right? Like what features do you want to see, and does it bring value to your organization? And if so, how? We're going to use that information I'm personally going to feed that. I'm answering every single email. Email me your feedback, jesse@appsec.ai. I will be parsing all of this, collecting it. Actually, there might be a type form link that I'm going to use or something too, but
Either way
get
works,
it to
right?
me. Yeah, either way, get it to me, because I'm going to be parsing this data, feeding it directly to engineering so that they can update that tool in real time and make it more valuable to everybody who needs it.
Super cool, man. Thank you for ramping up on this so fast, being able to run the demo. It's
Yeah,
super cool.
absolutely. I got a couple bonus challenges there for you guys. If you don't want to use it in an org, go find an open source GitHub repo that's using unofficial MCPs and see how we do, see what the scan looks like. And then if you can find an MCP we don't detect, I would love to know.
No doubt. All right. So let's continue, folks. So I think we're getting to the exciting. I mean, it's been pretty exciting already. I mean, come on. But let's continue. All right. That's the thing we just showed you. We are doing, and Christine, if you don't mind putting up the MCP workshop alongside the course. So, but if you don't know, we have a course on MCP security. Corey is the instructor. It is kick-ass. Everything I know about MCP, I learned from Corey. And we decided to offer these MCP workshops, right? And we put the word out in a sort of soft way, and people started signing up like crazy. So we're going to continue to do public workshops, but what we're offering here are private workshops for your team, for your organization. Because your keyboard is crazy loud. It's all good. So if your company could benefit from learning more, raising awareness, understanding what MCP is, why it's so great, but also what kind of risks it brings along and what you should do to protect against it, that is what this is for, right? So Christine's put the link up there at the top. Click on that, save it. If you want to request an MCP workshop for your org, let us know. We're happy to set it up. If it's a tiny little company or it's just for yourself, then we're going to set up public workshops where you can attend and join as well. Okay. All right. So that's the workshop. Now, we did say we're going to give away free CASA vouchers. So here's how you get your free CASA voucher. Anyone can get it, right? It's not a raffle, it's not a contest. Anybody can get ones. It is a power move, Randall. You're not kidding, right? Like my keyboard is just not nearly as awesome as Jesse's. But here's how you get it. Try out MCP Audit. Try it out. We're going to post on LinkedIn, so we want you to help us spread the word that it exists. It's the first tool I know of its kind, so help us, spread some love. Share your feedback with Jesse. Post a review, right? Good, bad, or ugly. We don't care. We want to hear about it. We want people to see it, right? And tag us. You do that, we will share you the CASA voucher immediately, right? That's all it takes. So there you go. All right. And yeah, CASA, the certified API security analyst. It is a test of the OWASP, your OWASP knowledge. So, and expect we're going to do more of these kind of things, especially when Bolt finally gets into the Chrome store. Okay. Quick shout out on APIsecCon before we get into the announcement, the big announcement of our API Security Person of the Year. We are running APIsecCon. It is February 12th. And we're looking for speakers. If you got something really cool and interesting you want to share, fill out our form. We'll I don't know if Christine, you've got it handy, but We've got like a call for papers form. And yeah, it's going to be great. Expect 3-4 hours, virtual, always free, no sponsors, all that good stuff. All right. So sign up for AppSecCon and let us know if you want to be a speaker at AppSecCon. All right. And so let's get into the AppSec Person of the Year. So we had a nomination process about a month ago. We had almost 500 nominations. It was incredible. And we would have had, frankly, a longer sort of voting list, but excuse me, but LinkedIn limits you to 4. And that was really tough, right? So we took the top 4, and this is who they are. And our very own Jesse was nominated, was in the top 4 nominee, and I cannot, like, I'm not one bit surprised. Freaking such an awesome dude. Damilola Abiona, who is just an unbelievable rock star. The things that she has done in the API security world is just incredible. And Alamir, right, has become a big friend of the community to us personally. Jesse, give us
Yeah.
some words about Alamir.
I love Alamir, man. I hope he's in the audience. He's like a brother to me, and he's a huge influence in the space. He created a vulnerable GraphQL application that he's kept updated this year. He's created multiple security tools like XJWT.io for researchers this year. He worked for AppSec and improved our product this year. Like, he's just awesome, and he's very, very humble. He doesn't really get on soapboxes as much as I would like him to, but please go follow him if you're not.
Absolutely. Follow all of these folks, truly. And Katie, I mean, I don't
Definitely.
know, arguably the GOAT. If you're not following Katie, you need to go do it right now. The quality of content, the thoughtfulness, the entertainment value, like, just one of the most awesome people I've gotten to know in this community. When we narrowed down to these 4, it was just like, man, any one of these is 100% deserving, but there can only be one winner.
Ain't that the truth?
um, and the winner of the community voted, and by the way, 3,300 votes. Last year we had 700 votes, and we thought that was incredible, right?
That's crazy. 33? I thought we were at 25.
Yeah, no, 3,300. But the winner, and it was close, is Dami Abiona. Congratulations. I know you're here listening, but we can't get you on the screen, and I really wish we could. But just, I want to tell people a little bit about you, because the way you've earned this is unbelievable. I think, Dami, you started the year off like not knowing anything about APIs and API security and things like that. You came to our site. I know you worked with confidence, and you were so motivated that you actually created a whole program in Nigeria to train young people, maybe anybody, to create these cohorts to learn API security. I know you built a 14-week program around taking people through API fundamentals and OWASP and all the way through to our pen testing, our most advanced courses. And you shepherd, literally, I think you've had 2 or 3 cohorts. Each cohort, I think, is 250 people. It's mind blowing, the impact that you're having. It's unbelievably touching that you've been able to take this content and build it out. All these fireworks are for you, Dami. Truly, unbelievably well deserved. And yeah, what more can we say? Just an amazing person. So
Oh, yeah,
thank
we turned the confetti on for Dammy. Chat's going crazy.
yeah, as well, you deserve it, truly. And as well, everyone deserved on that. And I really appreciate just that you shared those words about Alamir. It was neck and neck. My
Close
God.
race, man. Yeah,
Folks, if you aren't seeing the talent that's coming out of Nigeria in cybersecurity, you need to pay attention.
seriously.
Unbelievable people. It's one of the most wonderful things that I've been able to experience as part of this thing. Alamir has built some incredible tools. You got to follow that guy, right? Bank is changing banking, right? I know, I talk to banks all over the world. They are looking at your tool and learning from it. But we also have a second API Security Person of the Year, which the board, I don't mean that in air quotes in any slouchy way, but we pick one too. And this one last year. So by the way, last year's winner was Kishore, who was the Kishore from Walmart. The board winner last year was Teresa Pereira, who is here on this call. Thank you for being here, Teresa. We love you. But the board picked this year Katie. And what an absolute legend Katie is. She is our co API Security Person of the Year, if you want to call it that. I couldn't be more proud of both of these people and to call them friends. I don't know if you're here, Katie, but if you're not, could everyone who knows Katie send her a DM or something and let her know? She's
Yeah,
probably
Katie.
flying to, like, I don't know, Australia, or who knows? She's everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I think she is traveling right now according to her LinkedIn, but, yeah, huge shout outs to Katie. She's been somebody that was so welcoming to me as somebody new in the space this year, and, I jumped in meetings with her as a legend, being a nobody, and she was so kind and humble and welcoming, and she's just so awesome. So, thanks, Katie, for being cool.
Yeah, and what better way to wrap up the year and to finish off this session? But there's one more slide. And, what is it, Steve Jobs? But wait, one more thing. What was it that he used to say? Um, I want to make a special shout out to my man Jesse. This dude is
Go crazy.
unbelievable, right? He literally posted this 14 hours ago, and if you aren't taking advantage of it, go do it right now. He's offering his time, his expertise, and to me, this embodies 100% of what Jesse is. I love the hair, dude. Like,
The windblown beach hair.
dude, truly, we met you, folks. The way we met Jesse, I had no clue who this guy was. All I know is he was answering everybody's questions in Discord. And I was like, who the hell are you? You're amazing. We need to meet. And we met and we are like, dude, come on board now. How do we get you? And he has transformed Discord. It's just unbelievable, right? And your kindness, your generosity, your willingness to help people has no bounds. And so
Thanks, man.
hopefully you're feeling the love that's coming from this community right now.
Mhm. Yeah, big time. This is super special. Thank you. I feel like I found a home in AppSec, and that's why I just planted myself here. Like the university sort of embodies that kindness and pay it forward mentality in itself, and I'm just very grateful to be a part of it. And thank you for all the kind words these last couple weeks as voting has been going on. Everyone, it's been a little bit surreal, but I hope to be even more helpful next year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you will. The sky's the limit for you, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Um, So that's it, and obviously, huge thanks to all of you. You make this all possible. We love doing these sessions. You make them exciting and interactive and fun, and so thank you for all that support and encouragement and feedback. Go try out these tools. We want to make them better and stronger and more useful for you. Check out the company as well. We do need to keep the lights on so we could keep AppSecU running. So if your organizations need help securing your APIs, if that's now expanded into LLMs and MCPs and all kinds of good stuff, come check us out. And with that, Jesse, let's call it a wrap for 2025. What do
Yeah,
you
man.
say?
That sounds
Oh,
great. Thank you all for being here.
I want to also shout out Christine, who is often in front of the camera and often behind the camera, and she makes all of this incredibly possible. She
Yeah.
is just an incredible member of the team, and I know all of you know that.
That's for sure. I'll put Off on blast too while we're at it. I know if you're in Discord, you see him putting in all kinds of work, but Off on Ali, wherever you are in chat, does a ton for us here at AU and is constantly looking to do more. Very grateful for your participation, Off on as well.
Yeah, amen
And
to
of
that.
course, all of our ambassadors that get out there and carry the AppSec torch with me. And my days are always better because I have ambassadors behind me. So thank you all for being here.
All right. I guess on that feel good moment, let's call this session a wrap, 2025 a wrap. And hope you have a really nice, peaceful, healthy holidays. And we'll see you in 2026.
Yeah, buddy.
Take care, everybody.